Authority Training, also known as CSA Training. My name is Jillian Paciello, and I am the Clery coordinator for our campus. Now, CSA Training is a requirement of the Clery Act, which is mandated by the Department of Education. The Clery Act requires colleges and universities to report crime and safety information to the campus community so they can make the most informed decisions for their safety. Now, ideally, crime would be reported to a police department, campus police, or local law enforcement. However, the Clery Act and the Department of Education understand that is not always the case. If we only went by statistics reported to local law enforcement, we would not have a clear picture of crime on campus. So this is where you come in. Based on your role with the university and your relationship with students, you are classified as a campus security authority. So today I'm going to go over what your responsibilities are as a CSA and how you can best fulfill your role. As a CSA, you are required to report crime information that's reported to you, so that way that information can be included in campus statistics and other areas that we report crime on campus. Before we discuss how to report crimes that are disclosed to you, first let's discuss what crimes need to be reported. There are certain crimes in the Clery Act that need to be reported. Not all crimes need to be reported as a CSA. The crimes that need to be reported are murder, rape, fondling, incest and statutory rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, motor vehicle theft, arson, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking. Other reportable crimes for the Clery Act are hate crimes. These crimes are based out of bias because of someone's race, gender, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, ethnicity, disability, or national origin. And these crimes can include any of the crimes we previously discussed, as well as simple assault, larceny, intimidation, or vandalism. And the last category of crimes are liquor, drug, and weapon law violations. Now, if you reported any of these violations to student conduct already, you do not need to report them again for the Clery Act. Now, I understand that not everyone understands the difference between a burglary or a robbery, or the difference between dating violence and domestic violence, or what actually is involved when someone is being stalked. And that is okay. Most importantly, we just want you to report what you know. There are crime definitions listed on the Clery Act website, but if you feel something is reported to you that needs to be reported for the Clery Act, just go ahead and report it. If you have any questions along the way, you can contact me at any time. The next piece I want to discuss is where a crime occurred. Only crime that occurs on university-owned or controlled property is reportable to the Clery Act. These properties include on-campus property, including student residence halls, public property, and these include streets, sidewalks, and public thoroughfares immediately adjacent to our campus or touching our campus, and non-campus property. These are properties owned and controlled by the university, but are not in close proximity to our main campus. Another area reportable for Clery are those areas visited during a school-sponsored trip. If you conducted travel for students on a school-sponsored trip, please go to the Clery website and visit the School-Sponsored Overnight Trip tab for more information. For more information on these properties, you can go to the Clery website and also view our Clery map. However, don't get too lost in the details. We understand that Clery geography can be somewhat complicated. If something is reported to you that you believe occurred on UT-owned or controlled property, just go ahead and report the incident. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Clery office. To report an incident for Clery purposes, go to the Clery website at clery.utk.edu. On the left-hand side, you'll see a Campus Security Authority tab. That tab will give you access to the CSA reporting form. Simply fill out all the fields in the form, and please pay close attention to the date and location of the incident, as well as any relationship that existed between the parties. Also, in the description box, please report everything that was reported to you. You do not need to classify or summarize what was reported to you. Simply put what you know. At the bottom of the form, you'll see a victim identifier. We do ask for the initials of the victim involved. This will help us make sure that we are not double counting incidents that were reported to other parties. Once you've completed the form, hit submit, and that information will go straight to the Clery office. Even if you've reported an incident to Title IX, please be advised you do also need to report it for Clery purposes, as Title IX and Clery are two separate entities. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to contact me. You can reach me at clery@utk.edu, or you can call Public Safety at 974-3114 and ask for Jillian. Lastly, I want to cover some questions I often see when it comes to complying with the Clery Act. The first one that I see is, can a report be kept confidential? Because you are a CSA and need to share certain reports with the Clery office, you cannot keep a report confidential. However, for the Clery Act, it's important to know that no personal identifying information is ever connected with any crime statistics or safety notification. Another question I often see is, do I need to report an incident if it occurred off campus? Technically, if it occurred off campus and on property that is not owned or controlled by the university, you do not need to report it for the Clery office. However, please keep in mind your other reporting obligations under Title IX and student conduct. If you do not know the location and it's possible it could have happened on campus, or you believe it was close enough to campus and that it could have been on Clery geography, go ahead and report the incident. If you have any questions along the way, you can always contact the Clery office. Another question I receive is, do Clery mandates ever change? And the answer to that is yes. The Clery Act is a living, breathing document. It's actually currently on the floor to be reauthorized in DC. With that being said, this is why it's very important that Clery training is taken annually, every school year, to be sure that our CSAs have the most up-to-date information on their reporting responsibilities and obligations. And the last question I always see, which is probably the one I see the most, is why do you send out those texts and emails about crime on campus? The Clery Act requires two separate notification procedures: timely warnings, which is what we call safety notices, and emergency notification, what we call UT alerts. The Clery Act requires safety notifications whenever a report poses a serious or continuing threat to campus. Every report that comes into the Clery office is reviewed to determine if a serious and continuing threat exists. Though not every Clery report receives a safety notification, you can find crime information on our daily crime log that's available in the UTPD lobby, on the UTPD website, on the Clery website, or via the LiveSafe app. All Clery reportable crime is included in our annual security report and reported to the Department of Education every year. So holding true to the letter of the law of the Clery Act, information is always available about Clery crime that's reported to our Clery office, whether it be through a notification, through our daily crime log, or through statistics on our annual security report. If you have a question I did not answer, please feel free to contact the Clery office at clery@utk.edu. The university is committed to complying with the Clery Act and making sure our campus community has the most up-to-date safety and security information. The Department of Education also monitors colleges and universities to ensure compliance with the Clery Act. Those schools who fail to comply with the Clery Act not only suffered financial obligation, but also came under public scrutiny. Everyone here at UT campus works so hard to make this a safe and welcoming environment for everyone. Clery compliance is not the job of one person, but a whole community. So we appreciate your time and your compliance with the Clery Act. This concludes our CSA training. Please stay tuned for a short test to follow. If you're ever unsure on whether or not to report something for a CSA report, go ahead and report the incident. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the Clery Act. We appreciate what you do for our community. Thank you.